Hello, class. Welcome back to the second part of the Neutrality to War section of the World War I unit lecture. So this is kind of addressing the second focus question, which is how did the U.S. become involved in World War I and why? So in 1916, the American president at the time, the progressive Woodrow Wilson, who you remember from the last unit, won re-election. So he beats Teddy Roosevelt, former president, William Howard Taft, former president, in a three-way race, and he's able to keep in office by saying, hey, World War One, that's some foreign war that we don't need to get involved in. However, Americans read English and British journalists write in English. So there are constant stories in the American press written by British subjects describing how horrible the German occupation of Belgium is. And in addition, there is no German news reaching the United States because there's a British blockade of Germany. So the atrocities and starvation that came from that British blockade in Germany, not heard by Americans. So Americans are hearing this one-sided story of World War I, where there's really not a good guy or a bad guy. This is kind of just a bunch of imperial powers fighting each other. And at the same time, Americans trying to make money are selling weapons and materials to the powers fighting in the First World War. The British declare any goods destined to Germany as contraband, one of your vocab words, and those U-boats, those Unterseeboats, end up attacking vessels that happen to have Americans on them. So this is a map showing basically dueling blockades. So the British have a blockade on Germany. That's shown you in this right-hand image right here. This line, Germany can't get anything from Great Britain. Inconveniently for Germany, they have Britain in the way of them in America, so it's awfully hard for them to get resources from here. The Germans, in this dark blue area, this is where the Unterseeboats go. So any Americans on ships traveling to Great Britain are in danger of being sunk by submarines. Predictably enough, Americans are on ships that get sunk by submarines. This is an image of the cruise ship, the Lusitania, which was officially a cruise ship, but in actuality was full. It was so low in the water beyond what it normally would be because it was just full of ammunition and weapons destined for the war against Germany. And so the Germans say, hey, everyone abandon ship. This is the laws of war say that we can get this, take the ship out. And they do. And yet Americans die because there was some miscommunication. The details of it are a little fuzzy on my head, to be perfectly honest, right this second. But the important part is a British ship is sunk with contraband destined for Great Britain. Americans are on board. Americans are naturally upset. This, however, is not what actually gets the U.S. involved in World War I. It angers the American people, makes them dislike Germany. But Woodrow Wilson, holding to his campaign promises, this wasn't actually Germany's fault. Let's not be hasty. 120 Americans die. Another boat called the Arabic, the SS Arabic, was sunk in a similar fashion. Still, Americans do not go to war with Germany and the Central Powers. However, then an incredibly boneheaded move by the German ambassador to the United States, Zimmerman, happens where Zimmerman basically sends a note to Mexico saying, hey, we're worried if the U.S. might get involved in this war that we're fighting over in Europe. What I would like you to do, is, meaning Mexico, is declare war on the United States whenever Germany inevitably ends up in a war with the U.S. They're angry about the boats. We got to kind of be preemptive. So that's effectively a declaration of war. America's southern neighbor. This cartoon is an American cartoon basically saying, oh, look, the Germans are going to carve up the U.S. Interesting enough, for Japan, ? So even though Japan is an ally of Great Britain in the First World War, Americans are not pleased about the Zimmerman note. They're suspicious of foreigners. And this is why the U.S. declares war on Germany. It's because the German ambassador promised Mexico they could get this territory stolen from them in the Mexican-American War back in the 1830s returned. So the other piece of this I forgot to mention is Zimmerman was the reason the Americans found out about this telegram. It was intercepted by the British. Naturally suspicious. Hey, Britain might want us to go fight a war with Germany. The Americans ask the Zimmerman himself, did you write this telegram? And he says, I'm an honorable man. Yes, I did. destroying Germany's hope of losing World War One. Where if he just lied, and I'm not advocating lying, the U.S. probably wouldn't have gotten involved in the war at all. This is where the Arabic got sunk. This is the Zimmermann telegram itself. And this is just basically World War One in Europe once again. So the U.S. gets involved in World War One. In addition to this, the excuse becomes to keep the world safe for democracy. All that being said, it really was about a fear of U.S. territory being lost. And that's it.